Welcome to the 4 Mile Circus, the official podcast of 4 Mile Circus, which is a media production and social media services company based in Brooklyn. Check us out at 4milecircus.com. That's the number 4, followed by the word Mile Circus. My name is Sean Mannion. I'm a writer-director in Brooklyn.
And I'm Nicole. I'm the other half of 4 Mile Circus and a writer, director, producer based in Brooklyn. On this podcast, we will talk to independent artists and media makers about their relationships with social media. If you like what you hear, please subscribe on iTunes or your platform of choice and give us a 5-star review. It really helps spread the word about the show.
We're going to be live streaming this and future interviews on Facebook as we conduct them. So like 4 Mile Circus on Facebook to be notified of future live streams so you can see all our mistakes and comment with questions for the guest. Some questions may even make it into the show.
On today's episode, we will be having part 2 of our discussion with comedy duo SJ and Ginny, and we will be talking to them about their experiences with crowdfunding for their projects such as the short film Pillows and the television pilot Urban Teach Now. Stick around.
Welcome to the show, and before we get started talking with SJ and Ginny, Nicole, do you have a social media tip for us for today?
I do have a social media tip for today, and my social media tip is to sometimes take a break from social media. As we talked about on the last episode, it's helpful to do things like use a third-party scheduler to help prevent social media burnout, so you don't have to be on social media as often as it looks like you're on social media. But still, it can be exhausting when social media is your job. For many people, social media is a break from their job. They like to go on Facebook at work and things like that. But for many of us, Facebook is where we work, or Twitter, or Instagram, or all of the above. And you need to take a break from work sometimes. Sometimes even just checking in, even if it's just once a day, can start to make you feel trapped and claustrophobic and exhausted and hopeless. Not that I've ever felt any of these things. Anyway, so you don't want to do that. You want to be able to be on social media and be engaged and social and implementing best practices and making connections and all of that. And so in order to do that effectively, you need to take a break sometimes. And that break can be as little as one day that you just do not log on to any of your accounts. Maybe you'd like to take the weekend off. Maybe you can carve out a whole week where you never check any of your social media accounts. And if you can do that, I highly recommend it. But to whatever degree you can, if you're starting to feel that social media fatigue, take time out. Using a scheduler can help you do that effectively without dropping off the face of the social media earth. So, queue up some tweets on Hootsuite or TweetDeck or whatever, and delete Twitter off your phone for 24 or 48 or more hours. If you can do more, God bless, fully support you. Great thing to do. And that's my social media tip for the episode.
That's great. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hello.
And we're back.
And we're back. Hello.
Sorry, did we step on your intro?
No, you're totally fine.
We're just so excited.
We're all so excited.
There's a lot going
Hello,
on.
we're talking again with SJ and Ginny about, life and stuff. We're going to be talking about crowdfunding today on the show. And let's just jump straight into it with... you guys just did a reasonably successful crowdfunding campaign.
Super duper successful.
For a video projects thing of some kind. What was this video projects thing? What was
Urban Teach Now, the pilot by SJ and Ginny.
Okay.
Yeah,
what's
we
it about?
We made a 30-minute comedy dramedy pilot. We shot for 7 days in New York and New Orleans in May. Do you want to do the logline? Synopsis?
It is a biting satire.
Ooh, lifted straight from our real
Well,
content.
I copy and pasted it because I was preparing for our meeting tonight. Okay, but anyway, Urban Teach Now is about, a Korean American, recent college grad who as a last resort, joins a program very similar to Teach for America. And she ends up going down to New Orleans to teach, and you kind of see like her struggles in the classroom and also within the program called Urban Teach Now. And yeah, you meet lots of characters, and then hilarity ensues.
Nice.
And so we did a crowdfunding campaign for it in order to shoot the full 30-minute pilot. And it took us a long time to come to the conclusion that we really wanted to just like go all out.
Go big.
Yeah, we met with a lot of people who we admired who had made really successful web series, but not many people had done something like this where they were like, I have a pilot script. We didn't feel like waiting around to like shop around a script. So we were just like, we want to fucking do this.
Yeah, we also played with the idea of making it a web series a lot.
Yes.
The script exists in web series form, and we were going back and forth about it, like really up until we started crowdfunding. Then we made the decision. It's a fucking pilot.
Yeah, exactly. And so once we established that, we also had to establish that we wanted to shoot it in New Orleans because that's where the story took place. And so we went
Based
back and
on
forth.
SJ's real experiences.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we went back and forth a lot about like, oh, we could just like shoot it in New York or shoot it in like Newark, New Jersey. Like we could make this work, but it like really changed the story around and just like wasn't as exciting.
Right.
There's also so much like texture and place in New Orleans. It's a culture unto itself. And we were really excited. And I think I remember so clearly, like you had a meeting where you talked to someone about it who had encouraged you to shoot in New Orleans just because it's about following your fucking bliss.
Yeah.
Like,
her name was Misha Eep. She's an amazing filmmaker friend.
Yeah.
And
Good
she
advice.
was like, you should film this in New Orleans. Just hearing you speak about it, like once you say New Orleans, it's like, and your eyes light up. It's like, that's what's going to bring in your the team members who you want to collaborate with. That's like what's going to excite them too. So you know,
like doing the thing that you're passionate about versus like what's the easiest way to achieve.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, producing in New Orleans, because we shot in two places essentially, because we shot half in New York, half in New Orleans, made it 2 times as complicated. We had to hire like 2 teams, cast remotely, find locate. Like it made it so much more complicated, but
It is so
I've
good.
never regretted for a second making the decision to go to New Orleans.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. So along with that decision came
Money. We needed money.
money. So yeah. And so
Yeah.
Should we talk about
No,
the campaign, or what do we?
Yeah. What so last time we talked about like more specifically about like some of the press that you guys got around like the drive-by street harassment. Like you guys had kind of been building up something of a following, I assume, like prior to this big Kickstarter, and you guys even had a Kickstarter before this.
That's right.
And actually, why don't we? Because I can send people to that.
Yeah, you can link to the whole short.
What is that? Tell people about that film, and actually, specifically, I'm interested why you guys crowdfunded for post-production for that film. Why just post-production for that one, as opposed to a lot of people, they're like, oh, I want to make a short film, I'm going to crowdfund for this whole thing right now.
Right.
So yeah. So Pillows.
Great.
What the hell is Pillows?
So Pillows is a short film that we produced about 1.5 years ago, and it's like funny because it's actually not that long ago, but it feels like a gazillion years ago.
Yeah, really.
A short film, and the reason that they got crowdfunded for just the post was because I could swing it. Like I figured out a way to like make it producible within this budget, just shoot it. We had one location. We shot in our DP's apartment, and we just partnered with people who were really excited to make it and had access to equipment. We didn't do any rentals. Our AC had a camera. It just really worked out really beautifully. But then we needed finishing money, so hence the Kickstarter. And what was really, I think, what really served us well in that Kickstarter is that we already had shot it. So and we can talk about this more with Urban Teach Now, I think when you do a Kickstarter campaign, it's so important to have cool, engaging, fun content. So to already have footage and, screenshots that looked great, the incentive to then back the project is like, this thing exists and it looks so good. We just need a little extra help to push it over the finish line. So, and like we were asking for comparatively, after Urban Teach Now, a modest sum of money. We raised $5,000, which at the time seemed enormous and was so, crowdfunding is so stressful and emotionally draining. But, and I think that experience ultimately gave us a lot of confidence going into Urban Teach Now. Like, we were a little bit scared that we had, like, burned through some important content. Like, how much can you, like, reasonably crowdfund, like...
like how many projects
every year you can't be like, give me more money, but I was
Can you tell me that
about
like 4 years ago?
But I feel like we learned a lot from that experience about how to run a good campaign, and just by trial and error. So we went into Urban Teach Now a little bit more experienced and confident because we had made this thing from beginning to end. We knew how to complete a project like that, so we felt good.
Okay, cool. And so with Pillows, and then with sort of whatever you built up with Shame Game and Great Gig and Drive-By Street Harassment, how did that affect the campaign for Urban Teach Now? Like did that make it, like compared to Pillows, for example, did that make it somewhat easier, more difficult? Like, how were you able to tap that? How did that affect your approach to it?
I think mainly Ginny and I were more confident, and we've just learned so much more on how to like create our own stuff, even like the campaign video for Urban Teach Now, I think is very strong, and I'm very proud of it. And we were able to do that with just the two of us.
You go
The pipes are back up.
Hold for sound.
Hold for sound. That's a filmmaking term.
Wait, is the plumber here?
He's downstairs.
Oh, okay. What is that?
They had them open the faucets.
I had to open the faucets for air.
Oh, okay.
That's how you know the water's back on.
Geyser. So, so we were feeling just more skilled. I was just really happy with like how our campaign, like the way we described it and like pitched the campaign in both writing and through video. I felt great about. And then with our experience through all those projects that you mentioned, we had gained, definitely like a little bit of a following. And we had some connections, with some media outlets that ended up working out. One thing that we really appreciated was my friend Mike at NBC News Asian America. He has been just like a fan and really helpful in getting our story that is Asian American focused and like kind of to the right demographic. And it was
we had a lot.
I think we did
like really targeted press, like being on Angry Asian Man. I think was also a big windfall for us because that's like a very targeted market. And, like our project was so right for it.
Yeah, and like what was weird is like some people came up to me being like, "Wow, you really like knew what you were going for in this campaign. Like you really strategized this correctly," making it seem like we had created a show about Asian American and women.
Like we had like plotted. What is viral?
And that was like kind of upsetting to me. I was like, no, that's not like why we did it. It was just because that's organically what we care about.
Right.
And so like we're both women. Like SJ is Asian American.
Like
this like true to ourselves.
Like it reminds me of when like Aziz Ansari was interviewed for Master of None, and he was like, "Wow, you did such really diverse casting. Like a great job." And he was like, "Well, I didn't try to do that. It's just like how my life is. Like that's just organically it." So anyway, but with Urban Teach Now, like going back to the campaign, we did end up kind of talking to the right or media outlets that would care about it. And Angry Asian Man is a really popular blog among Asian Americans like across the country, really popular in LA and New York.
Hilarious. In general, all people should be following him.
Yeah.
We'll
and
link that in the show notes. It's a great blog.
It's
really
a great blog. And
Sean has some technical issues.
Hi.
Yeah.
Special guest star.
Thanks, man.
Sure thing.
All right.
Thank you.
Hi. Special guest star, the plumber.
What's
we
his
fixed
name?
it. What's his name?
Sean's
I
like,
knew it.
We shall call him the plumber.
The plumber.
I knew it earlier.
plum bum.
My brain's in the spot.
Yeah, I think we had a really good answer to, and when you make a Kickstarter campaign, they have like different sections where you fill out your project description, and there's kind of like a why, like why should you back this project? Like, why is it important? And I think we had a really good answer to that question, because there has been, this expanding conversation around whitewashing in Hollywood. It was right after the Oscars, and all
it was like the day after the Oscars. It was insane. Yeah.
We had like written that script, and then the Oscars happened, and it was just, so stark. Like, these are the problems that we're talking about, and everyone sees it, right?
Yeah.
Everyone sees this, right? So I think there was a timeliness to it that helped us, get attention from the press.
I'm curious if I can real quick, if you learned anything from your first crowdfunding campaign about incentives and how to do those that you brought to Urban Teach Now. I know with Urban Teach Now you had like the haikus you were writing people.
Yeah, those haikus.
So many haikus.
So many.
Incentives. We worked hard to like think of good.
Yeah.
To work out good. What's it called?
Incentives? Prizes?
What's it called? Rewards.
Rewards.
All of the above.
And we really kind of like approached it of like, okay, who has money?
Yeah.
Like we had rewards for kind of like our cohort of like young people who, we know lots of other like young creative people who, don't have a ton of cash. So we had rewards geared towards them, like, oh, we'll photograph your show, or we'll cut you this reel, or we'll make you this funny gag gift. That was all within like their budget. And then we kind of like talked about like the parents, just like
the parents' generation,
like any like millennials are notoriously broke, so anyone that we were reaching above that our own generation, we made it like what do adults care about?
Adults care about possibly volunteering at a nonprofit.
Yeah, so that was one of our like largest levels of like we will volunteer at a
nonprofit of your choosing.
Of your choice for a day.
Yeah.
So just like keeping in mind who is going to be able to afford what.
Yeah, totally.
And gearing things that would appeal and be like helpful and positive. And I think, you can say thank you. The saying thank you is important, but just like something that is that you can grasp.
And, yeah, like even if it's a thank you, the personalizing on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. Like I know that when I get a personal message, even if it's like 140 characters, it feels really good.
Yeah.
Like someone who did this so well was Sara Benincasa. She is a writer, comedian who did this show.
Who's dope.
Short.
You should link her in the
Also
show notes.
fabulous.
So fabulous. You guys.
We will happily link her in the show notes.
We are quite
She wrote The Focus Group, which is a short film, and that actually Heather Fink, who is our director, also directed.
Yeah, and that's how we connected with Heather, because SJ acted in that film.
Yes,
Yes, she did. Fine. We'll link that too. The Focus Group, a former 4 Mile
Group is
Circus
online,
short of the
right?
week. Yes.
Focus Group is online, yeah. And Sarah was just so good at really making you feel like very just like important and part of the project, and throughout the whole process, and just like these like personalized messages on Facebook. I was like, wow, thank you. And I want to do that. I want to do that to people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And like, I think something strategically that we did is that we were then, whenever someone backed us, as in a timely manner as we could, we would then thank them on social media with their, like no matter at what level, if they'd like gotten the haiku level, which I think was our smallest reward, like the $10 reward. And then you link back to the project,
To the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So like every time you're talking about the project in any capacity, or posting it on someone else's wall, because that's an opportunity for you to then post back to the project. There's only so many times that you can do your own statuses or whatever, but every time you're talking about the project in any capacity, if it's going on someone's wall, you link back to your project.
Yes.
It's just Got to be able to find it.
Yeah.
absolutely.
I have seen several times where I've had a hard time finding the project where I'm like, I really
Yeah,
want
that link should be
it should be
Yeah. The
always
easiest
on there.
thing.
It should always be on there. It should always be,
Totally.
or even if it's not necessarily a Kickstarter project, if you want people to watch your film, for example, you have to link to it. You can't
it's in
expect
your
people to
Twitter
come to
bio,
the-
it's in your Instagram bio.
Exactly.
It's everywhere. We make that
It's
easy
everywhere.
to find.
Be obnoxious about it because otherwise people aren't going to find it. They're not going to go looking for it.
Yeah.
They, one of the things, I know you guys have kind of a time crunch, so I want to make sure to hit on this. One of the things that interested me about, actually, I think it's actually the thing that made me get off my ass and stop being like, I'm going to totally give to Urban Teach now and like, I'll do it next week. I'll do it next week. Was when you guys got covered in the Huffington Post for it, and I think Ginny, I think it was Ginny.
It was Ginny.
Posted about.
It's
how-
always been Ginny.
It's always been Ginny.
It's me.
It's always been you, baby.
But you posted about how this is great and this is helpful, but we haven't necessarily seen contributions because we were covered in it.
Right.
And I think that was an
Yeah.
important point to make.
Well, so we had developed a relationship with the arts and culture editor at Huffington Post, and she'd been very kind to us. They did a profile on us in January, and then when we launched Feminist Babysitter, we passed it her way, and she very kindly shared again. But based on those two pieces of previous press, I had started to wonder, because we actually didn't like see that much traffic based like coming through that either of those articles.
Okay.
And I kind of like started this hypothesis, like, okay, Huffington Post has a lot of name recognition, but how much are people really visiting this site? They have so much content. They have so many tabs. It's insane. And then you look at most of their articles and like a lot of things don't have comments on them. So it just seems like this deluge of content that people aren't really interacting with very much. And I sort of feel like this model of so much content, every website needs so much content, might be on the way out, because I think it makes the content less good and less interesting, and people aren't as engaged by it.
Which sucks because when the content is good, like the article
It gets lost. Yeah.
Gets
that,
lost in the shuffle, yeah.
that was in the HuffPo was so good, like
Yeah,
so
it was so
nice and
fun.
well written, and like really great metaphors. I remember, though I don't remember like
They said
specific metaphors.
these comedians are using, these feminist comedians are using their tears as weapons.
Yeah,
They're
rage
like,
and tears.
Oh
as their
yeah.
weapons. Yeah. She was amazing.
Love that.
But yeah, like with everything being in the headlines these days, and the call to action also being in the headline, do you really
because
read it?
Everyone's, there's so much out there. It's really hard to stand out. And so we got that coverage in HuffPost really early, and the way that it was worded, it was they like used a past tense verb, like their project has been crowdfunded through Kickstarter. Like no. We have like 12% of our, $25,000 goal. We are not. I don't want people to read this and think, oh, good for them, and like move on.
Right.
Like it, and then so I didn't want people who we did know who would potentially back us like get confused about the fact that we had already done it, because we had not, and also that I feel like there's so often like press and the like FOMO effect of like, oh, they're doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like no, like there's so few, like I don't think anyone, like the amount of, especially since you made it sound like we're done our crowdfunding, are actually going to drive then to the to the page, to the project, and back us. Like I think it's going to create the perception that that's happening, but I didn't believe it all, and I don't think we got a lot of backers from that. We got so many more backers from more targeted press, like when
Angry
Mike
Asian
covered
Man.
us.
Yeah.
Angry Asian Man was huge.
But I mean,
it was
we
just so general. It was just
Yeah.
so general. And I think the reason that we got more hits from that was because you really need a personal connection to a project to back it on Kickstarter or any crowdfunding. Like you have to,
Absolutely. Any fundraising at all, really.
like you appeal to, like there's something in it that you personally want to support, that you want to see happen, whether it's that you have a personal connection to one of us or like the store. Like we had a lot of people being like, I did Teach for America, who found the project. So like that was their like interest into it. So I was like, this general is, while is very nice and like nice to share, is just not actually, I think, the right
translating into dollars.
success.
Right.
while giving the impression of success, which can really work against you in a crowdfunding campaign because you do
absolutely.
in fact need people.
You need the people, and you need them to not think that you're already fine.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they do, then if they don't click through, they don't see that you only have 12%. Like you were saying.
And I think the way that they had like structured it was that they like made it an embedded link somewhere in a paragraph. Like they didn't really be like, click
Okay.
here, support them. It was just kind of like, oh, here's like a paragraph that we kind of rewrote based on what we sent them. You know, it was like not
Right.
the most personal.
Right. So and I think that's a really, ever since I saw your post, I've been kind of like looking at that and thinking about that in real terms of like when it comes up, because it comes up. People are like, oh, well, if we get covered in Huffington Post, we'll be fine. If we get usually it's Huffington Post. People are obsessed with the Huffington Post.
Huffington Post is fine.
Huffington Post is fine. I keep seeing articles about how they don't pay their writers, so I'm kind of pissed off about
Oh,
it.
totally, yeah.
But
Yeah, all of those big conglomerate websites treat their talent like shit.
yeah.
All this stuff is coming out about BuzzFeed right now.
Oh,
and
I saw that.
It's crazy.
And I think there's this perception that, oh, well, if we get that, then it's going to be smooth sailing. But I think like an example of a project like yours is, you guys have a basis. You had like something viral. You clearly like know how to activate a group.
The vast
so it's not
majority
that.
of our backers were in fact people that we knew in one capacity or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The random backer isn't
One out of
ideal, but
15.
it's
Yeah.
like,
So it's such
and
a
also
small
it was
percentage.
always $5, $10 donations. Even on Angry Asian Man, we got a lot of hits from randoms or like random people, but it was low, donation. So I don't know. It was great to have like awareness about the project. Maybe if it wasn't translating into dollars, but yeah, that general awareness was, I don't know. It felt really good from just like a social perspective. We were like, oh well, this is something that someone cares about, even though it's like
Right.
not contributing to that campaign. But
Right.
yeah, so but yeah, most of it was parents' friends. My real estate broker who hates me, or the guy who helped me get the thing.
Yeah, or like the poor people like I used to work with
Yeah.
at my candy jar job.
Yeah.
Yeah, like messaging every single person on Facebook.
And LinkedIn.
Oh my god. And that's
LinkedIn
just
people have real
exhausting.
jobs.
It doesn't feel good
Yeah,
to ask
that's
people
true.
for money.
No.
It's emotionally exhausting, but like just bearing down and forcing yourself to write 50 personal messages. Mm-hmm. That's what got us over the finish line.
Yeah.
No questions asked.
Totally.
Yep. It's usually what does. Like that's in my experience, that's it. It's the Facebook messages. It's those
Yeah.
endless Facebook messages.
Yeah, and maybe you get 1 out of 20 people, but I'll take it. You know?
Yeah.
Like, that works.
Nice. So I know you have to get going.
You're busy ladies.
I'm a little
You're on the go.
thingy. I have
So-
to audition for a role called Customer.
Oh.
Customer 1.
Ooh, number 1.
I think all 4, however many people are watching right now.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, break a leg.
Fingers crossed.
Customer.
So-
It's got a customer vibe.
I
for
could
me
buy
when
something.
it comes
Yeah.
in. I
You
buy
could
as a
totally
customer.
buy stuff.
I don't know if I have spending power, but I do have like 50 cents in my pocket.
Well, if you
That-
know,
That's enough of a customer to use the bathroom. So let's
true.
jump into like our little fun thing, which is similar to the last one, but this one is more general. It doesn't have to be a thing that's your favorite right now. It's more like what's like a guilty pleasure, like a film or television show.
or comfort food
Guilty
if
Or
you
comfort
feel
food.
guilty for none
Oh,
of your
so
pleasures.
I feel guilty for none of my pleasures.
Good.
Oh yeah, which is fun.
Ooh.
I mean, I feel kind of guilty about mine, but that's okay.
Guilty pleasure.
Um,
Okay, so I watch Will and Grace on Lifetime.
You should feel guilty about that.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't think I should feel guilty, but like it is
I
just.
remember watching a rerun of that this weekend, and we're like, was this show always terrible, or did it change?
No,
I think it was always.
It's good. Wait, it's not terrible.
okay.
And you know what? I'm not ashamed of that. Wait, do you really think it's terrible?
We were rewatching it this weekend, we're like, what the actual hell is this?
I love that.
Thank you.
It's just so weird to see like that.
I couldn't stand that show back then.
Multicam format. It's
Oh,
so
yeah.
different. It like is a little bit jarring to my ears
Oh
to
my
hear.
gosh. Oh, I like grew up on that. I fucking loved it. And so I
watched
watched
that. I
that
can't-
for sure. Like guilty pleasure in that like I want to just like relax and like watch a game show. Like I don't want to hear about the suffering in the country. Just right now. So I'd like to watch some Will and Grace, where Megan Mullally is just like so good.
She's great on it.
If the show was her, I would have loved the hell out of that show, but I can't. Yeah.
She's great.
Wait, you guys didn't like it?
No.
What is going on with you guys?
I didn't like Frasier either.
Oh God, I
Frasier
hated
was annoying.
Frasier.
Yeah.
But
I didn't like Frasier either. Because you know what? I didn't get it. I just like didn't get it. It was just like old people in like a nice house.
It's fucking boring.
old.
It's just boring except for the dog. Sorry,
I dated a
it's
guy whose
facts.
favorite show was Frasier, and I was like,
Ew, are you serious?
I have to go.
gross.
Wait, who was
Didn't
it?
last very long.
I don't want to talk about it.
Tell me afterwards.
But okay, cool. So Will and Grace. So
I've been watching a lot of Gilmore Girl reruns.
Wait, but that's trendy.
It is trendy because it's coming
That's
back to
fine.
Netflix. I do, but the
Comfort
guilt
food.
that I feel about it is that, well, now like whenever I go back and watch shows from the '90s, early 2000s, I'm like, oh no, I feel uncomfortable because that shit is dated because it's like just all white, acceptable jokes making it to air on like ABC Family or the CW was like that's gay.
Well, I
Really?
think, okay, so if you watch
Really?
Two Broke Girls right now, like there's so much of
Oh,
that shit
God.
going on. You're
My
like,
grandma
wait.
loves that show.
Yeah.
That's the only time I see it. She
That's
laughs
a
at
target
all that.
demographic.
Like, this is.
I can't watch that show, and I love Kat Dennings.
I love Kat
just-
Dennings.
I love Kat Dennings, too.
She looks great.
She's pretty. She's a pretty lady.
She's-
And,
she's
and,
like-
and
I
she's
think
funny.
funny.
She's
I
I
think
think
It's
she's
really
funny
darker.
too. I didn't say you couldn't be funny and pretty,
It's
Sean.
just the
You know,
writing.
it's just that
the
you're
writing.
prioritizing her attractiveness over her talent, and I don't think that's appropriate.
That's true.
Yeah,
I
but
think
so
I should
hot,
leave.
though.
That's
Oh yeah!
So
Oh no!
hot.
Oh no! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Like
So hot.
I once heard a comedian describe her as a lava lamp, and I was like, yeah,
yeah.
she moves like a lava lamp.
Wait,
Yeah.
did she really?
She's just sexy.
She is.
It's
She's
just
very,
a-
very sexy.
Shit, I gotta look her up. I don't.
She's
I can't
hot.
remember.
She
her.
deserves way better material because she is
Oh, she
very
does.
funny.
Agreed.
She's
Is she a
incredibly
stand-up?
funny.
Like what? Or is
No,
she an
I think she's
actor
just an
by
actress.
By trade.
She
a
did
woodworker
what
by
was
trade?
that Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist. She was in Charlie Bartlett, and then she was in the Thor movies as well.
Got
Oh,
it.
cute.
So
Wait, Kat Dennings is in the Thor movies?
yeah,
Now I need
So
to go
is
watch
Natalie
those.
Portman.
Yeah, I know, but I don't
she's
care about
barely in the movies.
Yeah, but
She's funny though. She calls
Okay.
the hammer meow meow, so that's funny.
cool.
Anyway, so what about you?
Well, now I'm thinking about guilt, and so I'm gonna switch mine up from comfort food to the last thing I actually felt guilty for enjoying, which is rare. I watch a lot of like what might be called trashy TV, but I don't feel guilty about any of it. But I was watching Cruel Intentions recently.
That's my favorite film of all time.
It's one of my favorite films. I know Sean said that Good Gig
It's a great
has
film.
something
I
to
mentioned
do.
It's in Great Gig, yeah.
But I don't know. I haven't seen Great Gig, so I was excited about that, but we'll have to talk about that another time. I have a framed production still that maybe has the autographs of the principal cast. I don't know if they're really their autographs or if just somebody on eBay was like, Selma Blair, Ryan Felipe. I don't know, but I have it.
I've
And
made
it's,
a lot of money.
What is the still?
it's just the four of them. It's like Reese Witherspoon and Sarah
Oh,
Michelle
yeah, them,
Gellar
like,
and Ryan
smothering.
Felipe and Selma Blair like posed in one of the apartments.
So hot.
Yeah. So I have seen this movie many times. I own it on DVD with like the deleted scenes that make it
just even sexier?
I
yeah.
don't know if I've ever seen the
I can loan this to you.
I wanna
There's this scene.
Are they so hot?
Yeah, because Ryan Felipe, you know, when Pacey and the closeted football guy are in bed together.
Yeah.
In this version, though, like Ryan Felipe comes in and busts in or whatever, but also like the football player almost blows him.
Blows who?
Ryan Felipe.
Oh.
Because Ryan Felipe, as anyone who's seen Cruel Intentions knows, is like coded bisexual, even though they play like he's straight in the movie, but he's very, very not straight. This is part of why I love this movie because
That is, I've never thought about it, but that's so true.
yeah, it's true.
I mean, his little sunglasses.
It's very true. And this is part of why I love the movie. But anyway, so I was watching it with my my life partner of 12 years. Hi, other Sean, who's not this Sean, who had never seen it, but he'd heard me talk about it a lot and how much I love Cruel Intentions. Like, no, it's really trashy, but like I love it so much. It's so funny. It's so good. And I'm like, I can't believe you've never seen it. We're going to watch Cruel Intentions. It's going to be great. And we're watching it. And he's like, so this movie's just about a rapist. And I'm like, well, yes. Yes. And I was like, this is, and so I'm kind of watching it and he's like, and I'm like, ha ha, like laughing, thinking it's all funny and great and everything. And he's kind of like, and he got into it at a certain point. He's like, no, it's enjoyable. Like, it's an enjoyable film. I get that. But, and I'm like, yeah,
No,
I
it's so hard to watch anything from the 90s these days. Or really any rom-com ever made or movies for teens. It's just, whew. We're watching things through a new lens.
Yeah, I was.
Watched Can't Buy Me Love last week, and I hate Patrick Dempsey's character so much now because he's such a piece of shit. Not even like paying a girl to date him for a month. That's the nicest thing he does in the whole fucking movie.
Buy Me Love.
Can't Buy Me Love. Patrick
Tell him,
Dempsey,
Sean.
1987. So it's about Patrick Dempsey from Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, I know.
And so he's this dorky teenager who made all this money over the summer mowing everybody's
Not
lawns.
McDreamy at all.
He's still kind of hot back then. Like he is the male version of what they usually do in teen comedies, and I need to let you go. So no, you're
This is
fine.
fascinating,
You're fine. Well, I'll tell you more about it another time. My guilty pleasure thing is the animated feature Heavy Metal. Which I get a lot of joy out of, and I totally acknowledge that it's a bad movie, but I love the hell out of it. Okay, great. Well, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you
And
so much
Thanks for having us. This is so fun.
This was so fun. Oh, yeah.
Talking about the work, you know.
And it's fun because like we get to like actually reflect on the campaign, like which now we have some distance from it. So yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we went right from the campaign like basically into production, so there was no time.
Yeah.
There's no time to really think about it.
Yeah. On to the next thing.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for joining us.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.
Thank
This was
you.
fun.
And thank all of you who make this all possible.
It's all for
Roger.
you, buddy.
Thank you, Canada and Italy.
Italy.
Bye. If you like what you heard, please subscribe on iTunes or your podcast platform of choice, and check out other 4 Mile Circus services and projects at 4milecircus.com, as well as 4 Mile Circus on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Watch our first VOD release, Nicole's award-winning feminist phone sex horror comedy Small Talk, at 4milecircus.com/store,